Hey guys, it's Daniel. Welcome back. I know it's been a while, and I know in the past I had mentioned that I wanted to do a studio tour, and I wanted to update you guys a little bit of what was new. And that new thing, as you guessed from the title, was that I signed up for art school. So I wanted to go a little bit more about what that kind of looks like and what it will look like in the next couple months and possibly a year or two. But in the meantime, let's go back over there to my studio and then we'll get things rolling. So let's go in. And this is it. I know it's kind of small and may not seem like a whole lot, but this is where all the magic happens. I know that for some, having a studio space at home might not be the most productive thing. It might be too comfortable. It might be filled with distractions. But for me, at the end of the day, that's kind of what drew me back here, because I do have a full-time job outside of my artwork. So having a separate detached studio space that I had to go to and drive to after an 8-hour shift didn't really seem very practical to me. And not only that, but any other studio space that I was looking into was going to require that I have a second rent. Not only the rent for the studio, and some of the locations that I looked into was going to be paid for things like the electric power and getting a second internet connection up in there so that it could be fully functional. And that were all just added expenses that, quite honestly, I didn't want to pay. And I already have enough financial obligations with an apartment rent as it is to kind of get myself into more debt and into more hassle with the second rent. So I really do like my apartment because it is very centralized located here in Stockton. There is an art store, of course, essentials, Hobby Lobby that is also close to gas stations, grocery stores, and overall like the Miracle Mile and all the galleries downtown. It's not too far. So I really do enjoy that about my apartment, and I was glad that I was able to keep my studio space here, because some of these places that were like the strong candidates, I had literally had 3 places that I was seriously looking into. 2 of them were downtown and another one was in the north side of town. Actually 4, there was a 4th one that was a candidate that was in the Port of Stockton. Most of them were at least between a 15 to 20 minute drive depending on the traffic that day. And that for me, once again, I felt it wasn't gonna be as productive. Having to drive there after work. Not only that, but the reason why I'm next to this window, that's like the other main reason why I chose to stay here. And that's because this apartment, the main door is actually facing west. And the windows, all our windows in this apartment are facing north. And the reason why that's important in our terms is because the north facing light, it's actually pretty harsh and a little bit cold, but then that also helps get a lot more of the values in color. So it kind of stays more true to color. You don't get a lot of the afternoon light that is very harsh and strong and really, really warm. And the same with the morning light that is facing east. That is also very harsh all of a sudden, and then it just quickly dissipates towards the other day. Light is very important to me as a person, not only for art terms, but also because I have a lot of baby plants. I do love having plants here, not only because I think they look awesome, but they have a functional aspect of them, and it's because I do tend to paint with oil paints. Every once in a while I'll use spray paints, or I'll use like the clear coats. And it is an apartment, so it is not designed as a place where, you know, art is supposed to take happen. So the ventilation is not great. I do have this window that is closed right now, but I do open that up. But when I do use a harsher chemical, or when I do use, you know, solvents or anything like that, the smell tends to get trapped. Plants do filter air. So I literally went on NASA's website, and if you don't know, go to the NASA's website, and there's a list of plants that they recommend to filter your indoor air and purify it. So I literally have like almost every single plant on that list that could fit here. One day my brother came over and he kind of saw how I was working, and he asked me if I wanted a table, because he would build me a table. And I said yes, because I was literally about to go to IKEA and buy a desk, like a standing desk, because that table was so low that I was literally working like this, and I was arching my back so much just to work on anything. And that, on the long run, when you do it for hours and hours and hours, you get a lot of pain, and I was getting a lot of pain. What I love about this is that it is custom made to my height. So this is, once again, here's my waist, and here's the tabletop. So it allows me to come right in here and stand right in front of it and not have to crouch, anything like that. So I really love that. He also was able to get me this stool, so he also literally built the thing. It's made out of the same wood, and it's also like massively strong. It is a little bit heavy. It probably weighs like 30 pounds or something like that. One of the other things I love about my little studio is this little tiny couch. It's tiny, and this actually used to be in my living room. I love it because once my table directly in front of me, so when I'm working there and I get tired of sitting on the stool, I can just come down here and sit down on this fluffy seat. Usually when I have someone over, this is always their spot, and it's like one of those favorites. Like my mom comes in here, sits in here, my brother comes in here and sits here. My friends do the same thing, so it's like a perfect little relax. I didn't want to make it, once again, since it's at home, I didn't want to make it way too comfortable to where I was gonna come here and not get any work done. Like it had to be comfortable enough for me to spend hours here, but also get productive. So most of the time I am working facing this way. This is, once again, where my workbench is at. This little shelf is like the lifesaver. That's what keeps this area mostly somewhat clean. I always have my laptop in here because of the school portion that I'll get into right now. Everything else that I use here more often. On the workbench, I usually just kind of keep what it's important. So the laptop always, because I'm always looking at reference pictures, I'm always going online to sign in for anything. I always have some sketchbooks in there just because I take a lot of notes. So I have a sketchbook just for notes, just a notepad actually. And then I do have a sketchbook, and then I have my binder for school, and then a couple other textbooks. And I always have like either coffee or water in here. On this side, what I have is just this bulletin board that I got from work. And whatever is kind of important and going on, it's always going in here so that I can keep a mental note for myself. And of course, just a bunch of canvases. The other part of the video is that I signed up for art school. So I had looked into art school back when I was in high school. That was like over 10 years ago. I know I'm dating myself. Right now I'm 28, gonna go on 29. Art school is ridiculously expensive. I did take 2 art classes in community college, and they were beginning painting and art history. I did receive a great deal of knowledge when it came in the art history department. Like I really learned the progression of art history, like the different styles and like the main artists and the movements and what each generation has given to the art world. The beginning class that I took in painting was an oil painting class, and that literally was what catapulted my love for oil painting and the techniques that could be developed there. But then I stopped. I didn't really follow anything after that. I had a different mindset about what I wanted to do in my life, so I went a different route. At first, I looked into all those services I got bombarded with advertisements for, like Skillshare and Udemy, Udacademy, and even, other art courses. And one of the things that I began to notice was that a lot of those had holes. And holes to me meant was that certain sites and people were putting up lessons and videos for a very specific thing. So they were just having a lesson on how to draw a face realistically or how to draw eyes properly. And it was just one video, and they try to cram everything as much as they could. And I felt like most of them were kind of clickbait. Like, oh yeah, learn how to draw this in like X amount of days and you're gonna wow everyone. And I'm not gonna lie, I did look through a lot of those. I researched, and at the end I ended up buying one course. What I realized was it was great instruction, but once again it fell short. It only gave you what to do one portrait, and that was it. There was no way to contact the teacher. There was no way to ask questions really. There was, but it's very limited, and then your comments would would drown in a sea of other comments. So it was great. It's a great resource. It was a great start, but I felt I needed more. So I started digging. And the more I started looking, the more I started realizing that I wanted a curriculum, that I wanted not only something to teach me for 3 hours how to do something, but I wanted more instruction. So I literally started looking into school, like formalized school. And I started looking with a grain of salt because I know art school is expensive, because I know they're hard to get, and a lot of art schools will prey. I hate to say it, and it's not that I believe that education, or at least higher education, will prey on the student, but there are certain art schools that have a track record of doing that, and there's definitely some in the Bay Area that are in court proceedings because of that. And ironically enough, one of those schools was a school that I was receiving ads on Instagram. So after doing due diligent research, and that is something I took a long time. I'm talking about here, like I took about close to 2 months doing research on programs. And I ended up narrowing it down to 2 options, really. And the first option was go back to community college, which is just up the street from me at Delta College, and take some classes there, or do online. So in the end, I ended up with 2 choices online. And those 2 choices were the Watts Atelier of the Arts, and that is based in Southern California. And the second choice was actually the Sadie Valer Atelier, that is based in San Francisco. Both programs are offered online, and I just thought it was a no-brainer. The other main draw that pulled me into the atelier format was because I felt a lot of the universities and current contemporary art schools are focused in teaching the student how to break the box and how to be outside the box. And I felt like I couldn't really be and think outside the box when I didn't know what the box was in the beginning. The atelier program with Sadie Valer offered kind of all the boxes. They checked out all the boxes for me. It had the price, it had the versatility of being online, and I could jump in when I wanted. And it also focused on drawing the figure, drawing realistically. And most importantly, it had a curriculum that I could follow, and it wasn't just kind of like random classes here and there. About 2 weeks ago, this is my 3rd week. And since it's online, the very first things that I had to do was to get organized myself. So what I did, because I feel like I work better when I have a schedule, it is very nerdy, and it's very organized. So I have all my work hours, and then I have all my atelier hours, and I have a goal of working at least 25 hours per week on my atelier work. Like an average day for me, I wake up around 5 in the morning, get out of bed at 6, get myself breakfast between 6 and 7, and then by 8 o'clock, I'm already here, standing in front of this easel, doing the work, doing the lessons. Another of the things why I like the Sadie Valer online atelier is because not only is there a video reference to it, but there's also handouts that are uploaded. So what I did, because I'm a little bit of a nerd, I got myself an old binder, and I just kind of named it Sadie Valer Atelier, and all the handouts that are uploaded on the Google Drive that you have access to as a student. I'm just kind of downloading everything as I go, because for me personally, it's a little bit easier to have something on paper. I'm always more of a visual learner. Makes sense. I like the arts, but I just thought it was better. Like even the material lists are there. Like if she literally provides you with everything. Once again, it's just a little bit more, you have to have that strength within yourself to get organized and really have the motivation to do it, because you're not gonna have a teacher behind you. She references her teachers as well. So one of the recommended textbooks was Beginning Drawing Atelier by Juliet Astrades, which she mentioned is one of the teachers that she learned from, and also Classical Drawing Atelier, a guide. So I actually got these yesterday. I haven't had a chance to crack them open, but there's a lot that she refers to those books. For example, if you're having a hard time with X, Y, and Z lesson, then go ahead and go back and refer to the first 4 exercises there. So far, like I said, it's been great. There's definitely drawbacks to this sort of education. She's not here. She can't tell me what I'm doing wrong or not. Well, actually she can. I just have to contact her, and if I want to get a response from her, I have to go up a tier in my subscription plan, and I would pay a little bit more per month, since I do pay once a month, which is not a whole lot. It's actually a fairly reasonable amount of money that I'm paying compared to what a community college class would cost. Right now, I am literally paying less than $100 for this, and less than that. So it's very affordable. For my budget, that was something reasonable. But until next time, I hope you enjoyed the studio tour and just the update on the atelier. And I do hope to make the atelier updates maybe every other week, since my focus is on the atelier and not necessarily right now on cranking out YouTube videos like I originally had intended. But I definitely will keep those updates coming as much as I can. Until then, stay safe, stay home. Take care, everyone.